Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the YouTube track of the Epic Conference. We're in the final session before the keynote speaker coming up shortly. Tonight in this session on the YouTube track, I have Adam Wickens from Wickens Wicked Reptiles. That took me a little bit to make sure that I was going to have that right. Wickens Wicked Reptiles. You know him as well as I do from his YouTube success and kind of transcendence of the hobby and the industry. Let me give you some stats real quick of why he is sort of the headliner on the YouTube track. 380,000 subscribers on YouTube. And I did a little digging even further. Past 30 days, 1.08 million views. Adam reaches a massive audience. And I want to get into that with him tonight. I'll set the framework for you so that we can jump right into the content. In formulating some ideas for these sessions, one thing I noticed about Adam is that he has great thumbnails and intriguing titles. And I would say, well, I'm going to ask him about it in a minute. I would say he's not above a clicky title. I won't go as far as to say clickbait, but I will say a clicky title. And somewhere in there that translates from clicks to a massive community, nearly 400,000 people strong. So we're going to jump into that tonight. Audience, thank you for being here. Sponsors, thank you for making this happen. We couldn't have done this on this platform without you. Thank you so much. And without further ado, please welcome Adam Wickens from Wickens Wicked Reptiles to the show. How you doing, Adam?
I'm great, Adam. Thanks for having me on.
My pleasure, and I know I've said thanks in the green room, but I'm so glad to have you here. I think you represent our community well, and we were just talking in the green room. We're seeing a lot of new interest in our community, and you've had some opportunities with those companies as well. We can't make the whole show about that, but I'm very excited about the possibilities of the future, and it's just made me very optimistic to see their interaction with you and yours with them.
Yeah, I'm very grateful to be partnered with some of these great, like not even up, they're not up and coming brands. They're brands that have been around forever, or maybe they are up and coming, but they're taking interest in our niche and our industry, which to me, like we said, it kind of makes us feel like we've made it as a community.
And those are sponsors of the Epic conference as well, with Chewy.com and Palm Street. So thanks very much to the sponsors. Adam, tell me about your philosophy and your mindset when it comes to what makes a great title and a great thumbnail, because yours are fantastic. And like I say, they can be borderline, what would we say, audacious maybe? What goes into that?
So my idea is, and I don't remember who said this, I'm stealing this from somebody. All we have as YouTubers is a title and a thumbnail, and that's it. That's all you see. If you go to see a movie, you watch the new Snow White movie. The reason that you went there is because you saw a trailer in a different movie, or you saw a trailer on the internet, or you saw a trailer. So you kind of have an idea or a condensed version of what it's going to be. With my video, because of I get 100 characters in a title, and I get a thumbnail that maybe has 3 or 4 words. That's it. So it has to be audacious. If you're using boring titles and thumbnails, you're losing the game. There's no way that it works. So there's certain niches where you can get away with things that are, because they're all accurate. I want to say not accurate, but there's certain niches where you can get away with it being kind of like whatever. But for our niche, I feel like it's so small and the competition isn't huge, but you're competing against really big channels. There's a big gap between me and the Snake Discoveries and Brian Barchucks and the really big guys. So for me to stand out, I have to get your attention, because otherwise you only have so much time in a day, and you're probably already watching Snake Discovery and Brian because those are amazing channels. So I got to weasel my way in there.
I like how you take ownership of it, but also when you said all you have is a thumbnail and title, I jokingly wanted to say, there it is. Our session's done. You have the information you need. Let's not water down the message. That's a powerful statement. I mean, when I think about it, it's true. Sometimes I think we overcomplicate things with SEO descriptions. What are all these different things? So can we whittle it down a little bit more? You said you used, or I think you said 3 or 4 words on a thumbnail. What's the sweet spot on a title length for you and the words? Do you pay attention to the length of the title? I know it has to be like you have to keep it under 100 characters, but is there an even sweeter spot for you?
See, this is the hard part because I know that my channel is a decent size, but I feel like I'm still trying to figure this out too. I'm still
Okay.
trying to learn. And I think it's changed because what I used to do and what I used to see all the time, and I used to model my titles after this channel called Go Herping, who no longer makes reptile content.
Right.
So he would always do leopard gecko care guide, and then that like up and down line, it looks like a slash, but it's up and I don't know what the character's called, and
Yeah.
then 2008 edition or whatever. So it's kind of like a broken up title. I
Hmm.
used to do those, and I find those don't work as well anymore. And we're better off with shorter titles that fit immediately. Because if it's too long, it's like dot dot dot, and you have to hover over it to click. And I feel like
Right.
those are not great.
Yeah, there's so many formats that we consume things on too. So those titles can break off at different points, whether it's on a laptop or a phone or a tablet or whatnot. And then what about on the thumbnail as well? I'm hearing more and more trends of like less words is better and no words is the best. I mean, where does your allegiance lie on that topic?
I think it depends on the title of the video. So there's certain things like I'm shameless. There's definitely I wouldn't call. I think we should define clickbait before we talk about clickbait. But if it's,
Please.
for example, like my last video had snake discovery in it. Snake discovery and we get along great. Love those guys. They're fantastic. If they're in the video, they have a huge channel. They have a huge, very dedicated following. I'm going to use Emily's face and I'm going to use snake discovery in the thumbnail. I just am. It makes more sense. And I've done comparisons. You're on YouTube, you know, you can do comparisons, right? Three.
Yep.
And I know that if I use words, generally those have a higher click through rate than if I don't.
Okay. Nice. Uh, so thank you for the evidence as well on that, because a lot of times people just spew stuff and they're like, "Well, I know it's right." Well, no, let's put a system and a process to this. What's your ideal words? Is it literally three or four, or do you just say I need to get this in as few as possible and let it be?
So it depends. I've got a few formats. Generally, it's my face, recognizable, right? That's my brand. An animal that gets people's attention, and then if I use an animal, I try to use like one or two words, or maybe three. If I don't use an animal, and it's a video about bad habits, for example, where an animal doesn't make sense, I can do four, and I can do four kind of like stacked on top of each other, and that works. But I generally never go 5 words.
Wow. Wow. Okay. And while we're staying sort of technical, do you get into, I brought up earlier a moment ago, descriptions, keywords, you talked about comparative thumbnails. So some of the back end of YouTube, um, and tags. Do you get into the weeds with tags, keywords, and descriptions? How much effort do you put into that?
The tags I put in next to no effort, and that's something that was really important several years ago. Even when I started about 6 years ago, it was important. And now every time they do an update to the platform, the back end of it, it gets lower and lower and lower and more
It
like
does.
it's
It
so,
does.
it's
Yeah.
unimportant. And what
Right.
I was told, and I'm lucky enough I have like a YouTube manager who I can ask questions to.
Yeah.
And what she said was, unless it's a often misspelled word that you then misspell in the keywords are basically useless.
Wow. Wow. Um, it begs the question, why are they there? But that's not for you to answer that. We'll get somebody from YouTube next time on that. I don't want to
Yeah.
put, we have better things to cover on that then. This occurred to me, and I actually just scribbled this down. In this day and age, everybody's trying to find quicker, more efficient ways. And by that, I mean AI. How do you see AI playing into title names, video ideas? Is it something you've experimented with? I know you're a very creative and entertaining person. You're a professional comedian as well. So maybe, what are your thoughts on all of that, given all of that context?
Are you ready for the pitchforks to come out? Because people are not going to like what I have to say, but
That's
this is
what
the way
we're
that I feel about it.
that's what we're here for, man. We need, yeah.
So the way that I feel about people complaining about AI and saying that it's taking over and it's bad and you shouldn't use it and it's the devil, it reminds me of watching a video from 1955 of people saying that seatbelts are the devil. In 50 years, it's going to look so silly. You're going to look back on it and be like, this is insane. Because
Yeah.
AI, whether it is the devil or not, it's not going anywhere. So as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, as a creative, if you're not using it to your advantage, someone else is using it and you're just going to get left behind.
Yeah.
So yes, I don't use AI for art generally. I mean, I have a
Mhm.
thumbnail guy who does sometimes, but he'll use AI for a piece of the art and then do the rest himself, right?
I gotcha.
If he can't find Fiji banded iguana in a top hat holding a pitchfork, like he'll make it on AI. That's what we do, right?
I
So
gotcha.
something
Yeah.
like that. But in terms of titles and I have a new channel coming out next month. I got the name from AI. So yes, I definitely use it. I don't see a problem with it.
I literally last night had and for the record, I agree with you. We have to live in the world that we have. We can debate whether it's good or bad. It's there. It's a tool. It's an opportunity. Is my opinion as well. But I shared the idea. I went to college in 1998, University of Florida, history major, and that's important because that is when Google search was coming out, and academia was like, "Oh, everything's going to be plagiarized. The days of true hard research are over. It's all going to be ruined. What are we going to do?" And of course, the world is, I think, better for it. But the world is fine, is what I'm saying. It wasn't ruined, and neither was academia or history degrees, which were rather useless to begin with. So we're not much changed is my point. So I agree with you on that. Thanks for letting me pick your brain on that. On that note, um, you put out a lot of content, and that's part of what you do because it's your job and you do well at it. That's why you're sitting here. What's the process of creation and coming up with content to create?
So there's a lot of ways that I get the ideas for the videos, which I think what you're kind of getting at, and
Yeah.
it depends. Like sometimes I'll be having a conversation with somebody, and then boom, that's a video. Or I'll listen to a podcast, boom, that's a video. I used to have a platform where it was kind of like a chat room, and I would get ideas from that. That
Mm.
was, a great way to get ideas. And then oftentimes in the comment section, I used to stop like before I had the thanks to the sponsor, the Patreon, all that. Before I had any of that, the way I ended videos was, and if you have an idea for a video, let me know in the comment section down below. That's where I get all the video ideas. And I still get a lot of video ideas like that.
Just ask for it and you'll be, and you're like, I think actually, I think that leads to into some of the community point though. People want to be part of something. People want to feel like they're heard. That's all. That's the root of social media, right? I mean, that was the whole
Mhm.
Facebook thing. Everybody wants to be somebody, or whatever the line from that movie is. So, what about from a sort of a technical back office standpoint? Do you keep a list of show ideas? If you do, what's that organization look like? Is it Google Sheets? Is it just random notes everywhere? What do you have?
It's embarrassing if like so I've got this whiteboard, but it's a blackboard because it looks fancier and it's magnetized, and I've got these magnets with like these sticky notes, and the sticky notes I'll rip off and I'll put somewhere, and then I gotta organize these somehow. I know I'm gonna magnet them to my blackboard, and they're like so thick the magnets are falling off, and then when I can't think of an idea, I'll just go through them. But the problem is every time I go through them, I'm like, this is crap, this is crap, this is garbage. Like, why did I write these down? But then a year later, something will come up and I'll be like, oh, that I wrote this down. And then it becomes a video. And sometimes those videos do really well.
Right, right. Well, I'm glad to hear that I'm not the only one that just is just scramble of crap everywhere. So
That's
um,
me, man.
I could, man, I have lots of questions about the comedic process as well, but we'll stick to the YouTube today. Okay, so we talked about getting the eyeballs, the power of the thumbnail, the power of the title. That's really what we have to work with. How do you get them in the door? They're there. What makes good content for you? I know everybody has their own resources to make amazing content, but for you, what makes good content? What's important in your content?
So somebody told me, and I remember who this was actually, with Dr. Plants, another great channel, and he said to me once, "You have to deliver on your promise in the first 5 seconds, or no one's going to believe what you're saying, and they're going to click off the video." So,
Mhm.
for example, one of his videos is teaching my frog to play video games. In the first 5 seconds, you see his frog playing video games, and you're like, "Okay, now I'm along for the ride." Mr. Beast says the exact same thing. So this is what I try to do: is hey, if I tell you I'm going to give you the 5 worst reptiles and whatever, boom, this is what they're going to be. There's going to be some B-roll, like quick flashes of these animals, whatever the case is. And especially for the ones that are clickbait, I make sure that you understand, because all my videos, why I don't think it's clickbait, whatever I tell you is going to be in there is exactly what it's going to be. So I make sure that I deliver on the promise. And then make sure that it's quick. It's not this droning long. Like I would never post something like this to my YouTube channel where it's just me talking for this long without a cut
Mhm.
or without B-roll. Right? This is a different platform. On YouTube, that doesn't work. Those days are kind of over.
Yeah, I will say they're two very different things, and it's actually why
Mhm.
I personally started veering towards the live format because, admittedly, because of the work and the editing that goes in. You can't just sit in front of a camera and cut a promo for 8 minutes and expect it to do well. There's got to be other stuff with it. How many devices do you usually film on, or will you use to film any given video?
So it depends. For the talking head, it's one. I don't really do different angles. So it's usually this angle that you're looking at right here. I shoot with one camera. And then just for the sake of having two different lenses and I don't have to change, I'll generally use for B roll two different cameras. And it's just because there's
Okay.
two lenses I like to use and it's just much easier. That's it. Sometimes I'll use the cell phone if it's something more intricate, but like I've never owned a GoPro. I've never used one. Like it's very, I keep it as basic as I possibly can.
Yeah, I actually think there's a lot of value in that statement as well. Like it's better than good enough, but sometimes good enough is good at like we can have a plan and stick to it kind of thing. Um, so okay, so deliver on the promises, deliver in 5 seconds. What about your own style? What goes into developing your style? What helped you find it? Talk a little bit about that. And again, that's individual for every person, but you're the guest, so I want to hear yours.
Yeah, it is. It's individual for every person, and everyone's going to be different. So if someone comes to me and says, "Hey, how should I act on camera?" I would say, "Act like yourself. Be yourself, at least to a certain degree." I mean, you said I'm a comedian. I can't be my total self because it wouldn't work. Not on a family friendly platform. If you come watch a comedy show, you're going to think, "Who the heck is this guy?" This is not who I watch on YouTube. But this is more of who I am in terms of if I meet you at a show, I don't have to pretend. This is kind of what you get. So
Right.
whatever your personality is, at least have that be the anchor or the root. And if you're talking it up, if you talk to a newscaster, he doesn't sound like a newscaster when you talk to him. He's doing that an announcer voice to set. So you kind of do a little bit of that, and you're a little bit
Right.
more animated, and you raise your voice a little bit, and you project a little bit more. But besides that, it's a little bit of acting, like a little bit, but mostly your true self. And that is the easy way to do it. And I'm doing it the easy way because this is if somebody meets me at an NARBC last weekend, I had a lot of these comments. Hey, you're like the same guy as behind the camera. I'm like, yeah, because it's easier, of
It's
course.
easier to do that. Yeah. It's funny because it's almost like the struggle of life of who else would we be other than ourselves? And it's often so hard for us just to be confident in ourselves. I
Mhm.
think one of the themes that I heard both from Brian Cusco and Bob Bledsoe was that same thing. Be yourself. It's like there's an appetite for every flavor. Give yourself a chance. Like give yourself that shot out there, and that seems to be some of your thought as well on that. Um, do you? This is a little bit of a weird question, but maybe I can get it. Maybe I can get the point across. Do you feel like there's a relationship with the viewers? Do you feel like there's a social contract of some sort? Obviously, you talked about delivering on promises, but is there a brand? I mean, there's got to be a brand that you're delivering. There's got to be a mission or a guiding light or something in your mind that you say, I got to be true to this, or so. What does that look like for you in your mind, or how do you frame that?
This is, I know exactly what you mean, and it's hard for you to ask and it's hard for me to answer because I don't really know. I mean,
Okay.
there is a brand that you have to be, and for example, if you watch my show, I need you to know that you can sit down and watch my show with your kid or your religious grandmother or whoever, and you know that I'm not going to offend anybody, or at least not intentionally, right? I'm
Right.
family friendly. I don't do politics or anything else on my channel. Like what you get is information about reptiles, or sometimes I'll do a super silly episode like the last one I did, where I get Emily and Lissa and Neptune and all these people to like make up animals, and I show you these made up animals, and it's like this fun 2 days after April Fool's thing. But you're never going to tune into my channel and be like, whoa, what is this? Like, I feel uncomfortable. So you understand the brand because I've done 650 something videos. So you know what to expect, and I'm not going to deviate to the point where you feel uncomfortable or you've made a mistake showing my channel to somebody else.
Do you ever uh, uh, do you ever catch heat for that? Do you get people going, "Oh, don't worry about this," or it's it's 2025, say whatever, this or that? What's your response to people on that?
So I had two big decisions when I first started the channel. My big decisions were, what am I going to name it? I originally was going to name it Hognose Hibernaculum, and I was just going to do Hognose. Best thing I ever did was not doing that and making it broad. If I just did that, I promise you wouldn't know who I was. The other thing that I did is I decided, okay, am I going to be a comedian, or am I going to be an animal educator that's kind of funny sometimes? Because if I'm going to be a comedian, I'm going to have to offend some people and I'm going to say bad words. And I decided not to do that because when I was a kid, the reason I got involved in this, the only reason this is my career path, is because I watched guys like Steve Irwin and the Krat brothers and Corwin and all these guys. And I noticed none of them swore. And maybe you meet them and you go for a drink with them and maybe they do. And same
Right.
thing. Let's go for a drink and I'll be a different guy. I'll be a normal person. But in front of a camera, sorry. I do catch heat for it. Being, what's your opinion on the election? I'm like, bro, I'm not doing that. I mean, this
Yeah,
is
I'm not
not for
taking
that.
that. Right.
No, absolutely not. So this is this. And if you ever want to have a conversation with something deeper, then, meet me at a show and let's go out for a drink or whatever. I'm not going to be offensive or anything, but this is a very clear thing what I'm trying to do here. I'm not trying to deviate too much.
Um, you just mentioned something that caught my attention. We hear so much about kind of almost I can't think of the right word for it. It gets said over and over: niche down, or niche down. I had somebody comment that I pronounce it wrong. Anyway, that's a whole different topic as well. I looked it up. Either is acceptable. But you talked about staying broader. So, in your opinion, in your experience, what is what are your parameters for a good YouTube channel? When should you have a second channel? Anyhow, talk a little bit about the sort of the breadth versus the niche down mentality.
It's a great question. It's one that I had to answer recently. So
Hmm.
I I think that it depends on your niche. So or niche, for example, right? So let's suppose that you're into cars. Cars is really big. And if you want to have a Ferrari channel that's just about Ferraris, you can have millions of followers and millions of subscribers. But if you're a reptile guy, that's much smaller. There's not even close to as many reptile people as there are car people. So if you want to do a video just about hognose snakes and that's it, Neptune the Chameleon, great example. Bill Strand, Chameleon Academy, great example. Those guys, they don't want to have a million subscribers. That's not their thing. They're there to educate about one animal that they're super passionate about. That's their personality. My personality is, look around my reptile room. I don't have 400 of the same thing. I got a Fiji over here and a Tonga over here and a Durmal's over there and a bearded dragon over there and a Durmal's or a boa right there. I like everything. So to me, to paint myself in that box, A, I'd get bored, and B, the audience would get bored, and I'm only going to reach a sliver of the audience. But now everybody who likes reptiles, I've the ability, if I'm good enough, to reach absolutely everybody.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned earlier that you were going to be starting a new YouTube channel, or you have. What is that on, and why start a second one? You got a lot of people. You got a good thing going here. What are you doing here?
So the reason is, it's called Moss and Mist. I'm hoping that it's going to launch next month. The videos are about animals, but it's very different style. It's not some idiot in his basement talking in front of a green background. Like it's very the production is much more intense. These videos take months to make. And the reason that those are the videos that I watch. Like I still watch all like Dave and I watch Emily and I watch all these people who
Yeah.
those are the people who inspired me to start. But what I watch in my free time if I'm eating lunch or something is I'm watching, like the Mr. Hillbilly, Dr. Plants, Tara Green. Those are the videos I want to make. The problem is you can't make those videos in an afternoon. That takes a
No.
month to make or a year sometimes to make. So
Right.
I've decided Moss and Mist is a better way to do that because if you show up to one of those and then you see, oh, this guy's talking to people about animals that don't exist, you're not going to subscribe to my channel because you don't know what you're going to get.
It's a great example, and I mean, I'm really it's so I'm sitting here thinking to myself after speaking with you, Brian, Bob. I'm like, maybe I need two channels. Maybe I need the podcast channel, and then maybe because I do still make like educational and operations. I really like logistics and systems and processes in my ball python breeding operation. Maybe those are two different things. I'll be stewing over that for a while now. So, um, All right. To take it home here, last sort of topic, not just last thought. If you've ever thought of it in your mind, what makes a successful YouTube community? I know hundreds of thousands of people subscribe probably helps, but philosophically, what makes a good YouTube community?
If people see you in person, do they care? I think that's it. I mean, do they care about you? Do they know who you are? I go to shows. I had a really good experience at this last one in Dallas, and I was talking, and this woman was kind of close to me, and I could tell she knew who I was, and she wanted to talk to me, but she was too nervous. And this happens a lot, and because I used to be that guy when I was too nervous to talk to Dave Kaufman, and now we travel the world together. Okay, so I get it. I've been on both ends. And I made a comment to someone else I was talking to about how my wife looks like a Disney princess. And she chimes in, she's like, yes, she does. She does look like a Disney princess. Like as if, hey, I know who you are. And I also know about your family. And I know that, yeah, I know you have a wife. And people come up to me and they're like, hey, how's Alfie? Because they know that I just had a kid. So it's like they know. I forget who said this, but it's true. I feel like I'm the guy in the Alzheimer's home where everyone else is like a nurse. Everyone knows me, but I don't know anybody. I feel like the patient, everyone, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah,
and I probably butchered the joke, but that's like kind of what it feels like. But that
right.
makes me feel like my community is successful where people are involved in my life, where they care about my family and they care about, hey, how's Frankie? Did Diamond make the trip? And they know my animals by name. So, and then I hate to say it because it's like commercial, but are people buying your merch? Do they send you things to your PO box? Like, and I don't care about the money. I make next to no money on selling merch. I would sell it at cost if I could, you know. But to me, that it just how involved are they in you beyond consuming the content that you make that they can then watch for free?
Man, Adam, thank you so much. I can't believe it. We are down to about the 122nd mark, and it's always a good sign when the time flies by. Thank you for being so forthright. Thanks for humoring some of my questions that are probably maybe a little esoteric, but interesting to me nonetheless, and I hope it translates to the audience. But take just a moment. Where can people find you? How can they connect with you if they don't know about your community? Where are they going to find it? And take a little flex for a moment there.
So I'm Wickens Wicked Reptiles on basically everything, or my real name is Adam Wickens with an S, not Adam Wicken. You can find me on every platform like that. And thanks to all of you who watch anything that I do. I get to do this because of you, and I really appreciate it.
Adam, thank you. I can attest that you are easy to speak to in person. I can attest that you go to reptile shows like a normal person. We first met in a little town called Kissimmee, Florida, when you came up to my booth that I was vending at, and I was like, I think I know this guy, but I'm not sure if I do. I think we talked and you walked off, and I was like, oh, that is that guy. I got to catch up with him again. So
Yeah,
it's
I remember that.
yeah, it's very cool that we're here doing this now. Thanks for the support of Epic. Thank you for being here. Audience, thank you for being here. That concludes the YouTube track of, I don't know, volume one of Epic. So thanks, everybody. Thank you so much.